Hi, I'm Erin Frame. I'm a realtor with Long Realty, and I'm excited. I'm here today with John Smalley, and he is with Pest Friends. How are you today, John?
Great. I'm great. How are you?
I'm fantastic. We just had a great conversation, so it's kind of in a funk this morning, but I'll tell you, I'm not anymore.
I'm a talker, so yeah. Hopefully, people like it.
And I promise you, folks, we're going to try to keep this to 20 minutes or less. We'll do our best.
Yes.
So as I mentioned, he is the owner of Pest Friends, and we're going to go over that in a minute. But I would love for John to tell us a little bit about kind of his background a bit. And I know he's lived in Tucson for some time now. I don't think there's a whole lot of natives anymore, but I'd say you might classify as close.
Close, 13 years, sure.
Yeah. So go ahead.
I married a Tucson native too, so I don't know if I get credit for that.
Really so I think you did.
And that's actually why I stayed here. So I'm originally from St. Louis, born and raised, grew up there. I'm the youngest of three. I grew up in South County and South City. So ended up going to school at Southeast Missouri State University. Came back and was honestly just looking for an opportunity, just looking to do whatever I needed to do to improve my life and to move forward. And as I had that opportunity, I started off with a retail company, was fortunate enough to do pretty well there, then got into a healthcare company that was growing and expanding and looking for people that were just kind of willing to move and do anything to support the company. And I just chalked it up. I said, yeah, absolutely. I didn't have anything holding me back at that point in time. So went all over the place, ended up going to the St. Louis. Obviously, I was in Omaha for a while and then came to Tucson. And my job was largely in what they call change management. So they just used me to kind of fix things. And so at that point in time, Tucson for the healthcare company was Maxim Healthcare, was probably one of their worst locations. And they had asked me if I was interested in moving to Tucson to fix it. And then we kind of made a side deal that once I fixed it, I could go somewhere else because I didn't think Tucson was going to be the place I wanted to go. So. And then, yes, so skip forward 14 years later, I'm still here. I moved to Tucson. We had a ton of success. I ended up moving all the way up to a VP role of operations in that company. Maxim's nationwide, a little bit over $2 billion by the time I left, I think. But company did a lot of really great things for me. But when I moved to Tucson, it ended up not being a pit stop because I met my now wife, ended up getting married, built a house, and I have two little boys now, a 5-year-old and a 2.5-year-old that keep me here. So recently, and we can talk about it later if you want, but I decided to stop on the national role and focus on creating businesses here in Tucson so that I could spend more time with those two specifically.
Right. And it sounds like you have a big network of friends and people, and that's kind of like how Pest Friends came up, right?
Yeah. So, well, Pest Friends came up. I'm good friends with Scott Nolan. Scott is part of Truly Nolan. And they're obviously
Nolan with all the cars everywhere. I love that.
Correct. Yeah. His father started the company, and Scott was leaving Truly Nolan. And him and I had worked on some projects together. And Truly Nolan's a really good company. I don't know if you know this, but they're like the 7th largest pest control company in the world. And wow. Scott was on his way out, and I was on my way back into Tucson, and I wanted to be here. I'd had a time where I came home from a business meeting. I was basically in another city, multiple planes each week, and came home, and my now 5-year-old met me at the door, and he just had this kind of weird look in his eyes, like he was trying to process who I was. And I don't know why, but it's so vivid for me. I remember this look, and I just thought to myself that I can't do this. I had another guy who was 6 months old at that point in time. I wanted to watch them grow up. So my company was in the process of being sold, and it was just a really good time for me to, kind of take what I had learned and move forward here in Tucson. So as I was going through that process, I was talking to Scott, and Scott was leaving Truly Nolan and planning on retiring. And, he'll joke about this a lot, but I was just like, if you could do it all over again, what would you do differently? And Scott and I both have a passion for challenging the status quo and, really pushing the limits and technology and innovation. And he kind of mentioned a handful of those things. And, it was at a lunch meeting, but I basically just said to him, I said, then why don't we do it? I've helped you out with projects in the past. I think there's an opportunity for us to partner again going forward if you want. I'm wanting to be based here in Tucson. Yeah. And he agreed. So we partnered with him and two other local businessmen and created Pest Friends.
So let's go ahead and talk about what makes you different as a pest control company.
Yeah, thanks. I'd like to think there's a lot of things, but there really is a few really unique things that tend to stick out about us. We're focused on creating a pest control company that ultimately one day will be owned and ran by pest technicians. You as a realtor being super successful, I think that realtors typically know what it really takes to run a good realty company, and I think Long does a great job at that and supporting you with that. I've been fortunate that I've owned a handful of other businesses, and when you allow the people on the ground to really dictate how you scale and grow your company, that you typically get the best results. You also therefore have the opportunity to create ownership opportunities for people that in the past wouldn't have them, and that's a big focus for us. So first things first, we want to become the employer of choice, and we really want to empower technicians to come to our company, to embrace an owner's mindset, to learn how to actually create and develop their own business and eventually buy it back from us. We believe that if we give them that opportunity, you'll see it in the results. You'll see it in the way that they drive the business, the way they run the business, the way they take care of the customers. And I would say early on, that part of the model has been proven true. We're only 9.5 months in, and we've got the #1 trust ranking on Google for the city. So I think we've got like 118 reviews, and I want to say like 115 of them are 5-star. And I say that because the difference between this company, it is huge. It's huge for a lot of things, but you can't get that type of result without amazing technicians who genuinely care about the job that they do. And in order to ask that technician to show up and do that job, which is very tough, day in and day out, there has to be a light at the end of the tunnel for them to do something better for themselves or for their family. So first things first, we're really trying to create future small business owners or just business owners for these guys. Yeah.
And it's just you're totally right. Sorry to interrupt, but I mean, I just think that if people can have possibly a piece of the pie, so to speak, I think that and be shown respect on top of everything else, I just think that makes a better worker, a better entrepreneur. Yes. So sorry.
You're good. You're right. And then, going back to me, I grew up, I'm the youngest of 3 single parent family. Right. So we didn't have a lot of extras, to say the least. And I say that because I've been fortunate enough where I do own multiple businesses, and I do have a nice house, and I am able to take care of my family. And a large part of that is simply the byproduct of other people taking chances on me, and other people, whether it was the healthcare company in my development professionally, or the numerous mentors that I've had throughout my career. So to be able to kind of pay it forward and give it back is really non-negotiable for me, not just with this company, but with anything that I do.
I totally understand.
So
I have plans too, so I get it.
Yeah, exactly. So 2 other things that I think separate us. We're focused on density and not volume. So in Tucson, we only operate in the foothills. And we do that because in order for our technicians to build up a route and ultimately work towards that ownership process, we've got to stop them from being a mile wide and an inch deep. So if you work for us, Erin, we'd say, hey, Erin, you have 85718, and everything that we do for you and with you is going to be done in 85718. And we're going to encourage you to be involved with the churches, the temples, the community centers, the parks, the baseball leagues, and then, ultimately really grow you and your brand in 85718. And so we focus a lot on density. The #1 reason that pest control companies go out of business when they open up is that they chase business all over town, and by the time they've end of the day, they've driven 200 miles, gone through a tank of gas, putting wear and tear on the truck.
Sounds like a realtor.
Yeah, right. You guys might know what I'm talking about, but regardless, so we put these people in position to be successful. And then the third thing, and this is where I think we're really going to change the industry. And we plan on changing the industry. I don't think we'll be just Tucson. We're starting off here, but we're going to be regional and national pretty soon, I think. But always focused on Tucson being our home. But we want to change the industry through technology and through data. So we have some super cool technology advancements that are coming out, where essentially, we'll be able to tell when a trap goes off. We'll be able to tell what it catches, where it catches that trap. When you couple that with our technicians being in small, dense areas and constantly tracking what we're treating for and what we're seeing. And then we've got a data aggregation site that we're putting out there as well that it will allow people to put in their own information. We believe that through technology, we'll be able to create new data, and we'll be able to have that data tell a story. So my vision is that we can challenge the way the status quo is currently in pest control, where people just pay for spray. We want to create a scenario where we create a proactive pest control. I can say, hey, Erin, based off the information I have on your zip code, on your neighborhood, on your street, I can tell you that termites are moving east on your street 3 houses a month. You don't have termites now, but this colony is moving towards you. Like, let's get ahead of it. Let's prevent your house from having termites as opposed to treating your house for having termites. Same thing can be said about pack rats or bugs or scorpions or spiders or whatever else. So that gets pretty complicated, but that's actually what really fires me up, because I just believe there's a better pest control out there. Yeah. And the industry hasn't really had to innovate over the last 60, 70 years. And I believe that when we provide that option, people are gonna really enjoy, that version of pest control better.
That's great. And of course you are pet and people friendly.
We are, yes. And so, a lot of people say that, but we really are. We, specifically, we don't use rodenticides, and those are the poisons that a lot of people will use on pack rats or rodents. And, there's multiple reasons why they use it, but those same poisons kill your birds, and they kill, the snakes that, even if you're scared of, keep the pack rat population under control. And then they also have the ability to, unfortunately, we picked up a client the other day. I'm happy we picked her up, but she came to us because she used a competitor that used, rodenticides, poisons, and her dog died. And so let me stop there too and say that I used pest control for 8 years prior to getting into the industry, and I used rodenticides. I had no clue. I was told that they were safe, but they really aren't. So not to go too far down a rabbit hole on that, but we are really committed to doing it the right way, and we're trusting that that model will produce future growth.
It's amazing. I just love the story, and I love how you're the kind of plan, because it's all about community, and I feel like this whole COVID thing has really kind of, at least for me, it's really I've just focused much more in a smaller area. And I feel like I just want to grow my relationships, grow my connections within where I live, And I just love the idea of your technicians kind of really getting in, like you said, churches and groups. And I love that, because I think that I would love to have like a neighborhood pest guy, not like some random,
right. Well, and that's what we're betting on. You would, if you were with Pest Friends, and it's just, not only is it good business, but it is a little bit of kind of what the world needs right now. I mean, when you look at things, whether it's political or whatever else, there's just a lot of divide right now. And, the concept of just getting behind the people who live next to you and live around you, and then doing things the right way, and then having us all kind of help each other out and take care of each other. Like, that to me is A, good business, but B, it's also kind of common sense, and where ideally I think as a community we need to go. And so just so you know, people watching this, we are constantly looking for things to support in the foothills. I say that, but we have partnerships with Track Ranch, if you know who they are, where, we put out a ton of free passes for people. They work with a lot of children who have issues.
I have not heard of them. We're going to have to talk more about that later, because I'm always looking to interview different, nonprofits and things. So we'll talk about that later, but that's amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I love that. Like I said, it's funny. I never really used to want to know my neighbors. I was that person that like, oh yeah, there's a person over there. I've never talked to him. I've lived here 10 years. It's just, even though you see me as like you said, I'm outgoing, not when it comes to my house, because I've always been really to myself. Since this has started, like I've made friends, like in my neighborhood. I mean, like all that stuff. And I think it's really cool. And I hope we don't forget like how important community is, and without one another, we don't go far, No. So I love it. This is a great talk. I love this.
It's also like, so there is going to be some upside of this whole COVID thing, right? I mean, and you're right. I've lived here for 6 years, and it was only within the last year, partially because I was traveling to a different city, every week. Right. And I was never really here. But it's only within this last year that I've actually literally met my neighbors, and 2 of them now are 2 of my better friends, and they have little boys that play with my little boys, so yeah, it's, I'm hoping that the upside is there. What's that?
I just said, it just seems so much easier now. It just seems like that's how you should be. Like, let's smile at the person in the store. Granted, they can't see a smile, but they can feel it. I feel. So,
right. Just get the eye dimples. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I promise I'm smiling, So that's amazing. And of course, at the end of this, when it's all edited and stuff, we'll have all your contact information, your website, like that. So people can obviously reach out. One of the things I loved when you did reach out to me is see, I think you had asked to join the group, or I have a Facebook Catalina Foothills group.
Catalina Foothills group.
And I just loved it because you just were like, I'm here not to hound you. I'm here to kind of get to know the neighborhood and give information and advice and things like that. And I basically don't expect anything in return. And I thought that was a really cool thing. So
it's weird because we do with your group and then other groups next doors, something we spend a decent amount of time on. Park Bench is obviously an awesome resource. So, but we really, and I know we just talked about it, but we really do take the focus first of like, do the right thing, and so it's funny because we put out all this DIY advice, and I'd say 85% of the feedback is really positive. People saying, oh my gosh, thank you, but 15% of the people are just trying to figure out what your angle is. And when you don't have an angle, it seems to really drive those people nuts, And, some guys like, it feels like you're advertising. And I was like, I do advertise, but like, if you go there, you'll see like my deals, but like, this is just free advice. And, the guy kept the conversation going with me. He's like, why would you do it? And I was like, why would I not? The person who takes my DIY advice, whether it's you or your husband or whoever it is, they're never going to use my services anyways.
Yeah. Keep going. My computer's dying. I didn't realize it. So hold on a second.
Right, you're good.
I'm listening though. Hold on. I'm so sorry. Let's see. So yes, yes, I'm back.
Okay. So the people who are going to take your DIY advice, like, they're just not going to call me regardless. Right. So I might as well make sure that as they're removing the pack rat, that they understand that, there's a kissing bug there, and that kissing bug can be linked to anaphylactic shock or Chagas disease or whatever else. And, make sure that they understand to wear, the right PPE or whatever else. So, and as being a realtor, and I'm sure that you're heavily involved in different communities and groups and whatnot, when you do the right thing, there is an upside. Eventually enough people see that DIY advice and realize that these technicians are state certified for a reason, and they have no desire to do it. And, we do pick up quite a bit of business, but I would like to think that it's a byproduct of honestly just doing things the right way. Just
being a good person.
Correct. Yeah.
I think that's so much of what it boils down to. It's like, just be a good person. It's not that hard. Maybe it is for some people, but
yeah.
Those are people I don't want to work with anyway, honestly.
Right. Amen. Yeah. So
yeah. So this is great. So is there anything else you want to add, or I think we covered a lot. But one other thing is, you did say, and you might have already said it, but just it's forecasted, right, to be an all-time high for.
Yeah. So, obviously when you look to get into a market or an industry, those are things that you look at. But I can tell you this, that the Foothills specifically, since this message is going to go out to them, is booming. From a pest control standpoint, and traditionally in the past, scorpions and cockroaches were your biggest threat. Termites right now are about 4 times the state average, and the state is about 4 times the national average. So if you live in 49, 50, 18, or 04, your chances of having termites in southern Arizona are extremely high. And then the biggest thing that everybody's really starting to notice over the last year, and there's some theories out there as to why, but the rodent population is really getting out of control, and aggressively going after houses. And people are linking it to the fires that happened in Mountain last year. They're linking it to the fact that people are eating more at their house and there's more garbage around the house. People believe that the pack rat is starting to mate with the common rat. And so it's a big deal here in southern Arizona, but it's also right. So it's also what's driving the industry as a whole. So I think southern Arizona is very unique. It's got its own set of challenges, but that's why companies like us are here.
One thing in regards to termites, we have to tell clients, because clients that move from other areas, like termite is like, what do you mean we have termites? Like here, I have to tell them either you've had it, you're gonna have it, or I can't remember, there's a third one or whatever. But still, I just like it's bound to happen, period. So don't freak out. We just gotta just know it, But like coming from Washington State, you think of termites and you think of a tented house, you don't think of just being like what it is here, So this is great. I'm super excited about this. I definitely would love to support you, because like I said, I've not heard of anything like this, and I love the business model, and I have pets, and the thought of anything happening to my pets is not okay. So
it shouldn't be.
Most people feel that way. So So a
Well,
little bit, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, no, I appreciate the opportunity to talk, and
Oh, yeah.
and I love what you're doing, and it's cool to see. I really like this park bench,
Yeah.
Concept that's out there. It's really gonna help bring communities together and support each other. So I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you as well.
Perfect. Just a quick thing too, if there's any other businesses out there in the 1-8 or the 5-0 that are looking to get some exposure for your business, I'd love to hear from you. So once this is all posted, you'll be able to get my contact info. But until next time, I guess we're done. Is that
We're
right?
done.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. All right. So I guess everyone have a great day and peace.
Thanks, guys.